Oh my god, I've been recording this video a couple times, but then the mic wasn't even on, so that's a little frustrating. It's okay, they're all trash anyways. Welcome to my video. My name's Nipanak. I'll be talking about Western philosophy, one idea in particular, Plato's allegory of the cave, and a First Nations iteration of that, which is called the Black Wolf, which I made up. I'm not sure if there's other versions of it out there, but I know what I know. Anyways, this video is for that kid out there who's kind of like me, who was raised traditionally with a bunch of knowledge about spirituality, but then rejected that because he was like, well, I live in a new world, and that world is a colonized educational system. And he doesn't know how to bring the two together because they always seem to clash. Well, I'm here to tell that kid that it doesn't have to. Regardless of the history of Canada, regardless of the history of the United States, you can still return to your roots and it can still coexist with Western ideas. It just takes a little bit of work. I'd like to start off with Plato's allegory of the cave, give you guys a quick rundown of it. Plato's allegory of the cave depicts humanity shackled with their hands behind their backs, only looking at a wall. And, anyways, they look at this wall for all their lifetime and think that's all that there is. What they don't know is that there's a fire behind them. And when stuff passes in front of the fire, it leaves shadows on the wall. And they take that for that's everything that exists to their minds. Until one day one man breaks free and he's able to look behind him and he sees the fire and realizes that it's just shadows, everything that he thought he knew. So he starts this journey navigating these caves, and he runs into dead ends and he has to restart to where he was and continue to find a way out. And eventually he does. But once he does, his eyes take a second to adjust, because it's not like the light of the fire that he had in the cave. It's the true light of the sun, of the universe. Anyways, he looks at a flower and how it actually is made, and he was able to look at how grass grows. He's able to look at the river flowing, and through that he looks into the river and he's able to see his true reflection for the first time. And he's able to understand the stars as much as he can. And because he's made this discovery and his way out of the cave, he goes back into the cave, and he's like, I have to let people know. I have to let my homies know that there's another way to this. And so he goes back into the cave, but now his vision's like this because his eyes have adjusted. He's not used to the dark. And so he stumbles his way back to where he originally was trapped, and he talks to his homies. He's like, okay, there's an exit out of this cave. You guys have to believe me. All you guys have to do is like try to break free. I can help you, but you guys have to do it for yourselves. They listen to him, but they just saw him stumble in from wherever the hell he came from, and now he has these crazy ideas. And they're like, nah man, you've clearly lost it. And because you've clearly lost it, we have no use for you, so we're just gonna plot to kill you. And so they do that. And they kill him. It doesn't matter the knowledge that he had in the past, the knowledge he had. They thought they didn't know what he was talking about, and it threatened what they knew, so they killed him. My understanding of Plato's allegory of the cave is that humanity is all born into darkness, or as children, and we rely on other people to show us the way, to feed us, to teach us how to survive, and if we're lucky, educate us. For Western systems of education, that was philosophy. It was the school of thought. Plato, Socrates, Aristotle, they established higher institutions of learning, which is university, which is now the fundamentals of education nowadays. But First Nations people, it was our elders, it was our communities that kept us alive, that educated us, that taught us about spirituality, enlightenment, whatever you want to call it, whatever's more comfortable for you. It was a way of life for us, but for Western schools, it was something you had to look for. Now, regardless of the history of what's happened in North America, I just want to focus on the First Nation, my version of Plato's allegory of the cave, which is called the Black Wolf. I'll just go right into it. So, a wolf finds himself with his pack in a snowstorm, and they're on the hunt for something called the Black Wolf. Nobody in the pack knows why they're on the hunt for the Black Wolf. They just know that they gotta hunt him. Until one wolf in the pack decides, hey, maybe the Black Wolf has something for me. So he leaves and he separates from the pack, but in doing so he goes alone and he loses the comfort of his companionships, of his companions and the warmth of community. And since he can't see in the blizzard, since the wolf can't see in the blizzard, he hikes up many different mountains in search for this Black Wolf. But he takes many missteps, and when he's at the top of a mountain, he falls right down back to where he started. So he climbs up another mountain, and this process goes over and over again, until finally, on one fall, he hits every single rock and he just wants to give up. But his wounds are too cold from the blizzard, and his hunt for whatever he's searching for is too strong to ignore. When the wolf rises up, he's able to catch a scent of the Black Wolf's trail. But just as he does that, he hears the pack that he held so dear. They're close, they're howling. So this wolf climbs up one final mountain until he finally has a conversation with the Black Wolf. The Black Wolf he was searching for. And what happens when they have this conversation, it goes something like this. Why are they hunting you? The seeking wolf asks. The Black Wolf replies, I have lived a life full of experience and wisdom. They want that from me, but they do not understand it. But you will. So let them come and kill me. The seeking wolf says, I don't understand. Why would you let that happen? The Black Wolf doesn't reply, because he is cut off by the howls of the pack, which are now outside the cave. So the Black Wolf, realizing that it's time to pass the torch on, he exits the cave into the blizzard, and within a couple minutes, the hunt for the pack is completed. There's no signs of struggle. But for the seeking wolf, what happens is very peculiar. He's able to see through the blizzard. Now he's able to finally see through the blizzard. Although he's still in the safety of his cave, but when it's safe to do so, when he leaves the cave and he takes his first steps, he's able to reflect at his hand and be like, hey, my fur is now a shining, shimmering coat of black fur. And he becomes a Black Wolf. But was this really what he wanted? The cycle of hunted and hunting. I do not have the answers for the larger questions in life about what spirituality leads to, what's the point of it all. All I can say is that it's a very useful tool. It's a very useful tool for self-discovery, to understand the power within yourself and about how there is a larger connection and a larger big picture in what life is. Instead of looking for power outside of yourself through drugs, alcohol, and casual sex, that shit may be fun, but it'll leave you hollow. the heights that you try to climb through, all those types of stuff, there's just going to be another mountain to climb. But the mountain of self-discovery will be much more worth it, because you'll always discover something more about yourself, and that will keep you pushing to higher and higher heights. Now, my version of Plato's allegory of the cave, which I call the Black Wolf, is just my version, and it was put into a language or a vision that I could understand. And it's different for everybody. It was different for me because of my skin color, my experiences, but for you, you may have a different background than me. And so, you're going to have to search for what your version of that is. Plato's allegory is just that. Just one telling of it. My version is just one telling of it. There's so many of us in the world. You got to find your own version. One of the things I really struggled with as an indigenous youth being raised in a city is that I didn't understand how both sides of what I was learning could fit together, like science and reason or spirituality and intuition. I always just looked at them and was like, okay, so I have to pick between the two. I never once considered that, or I never tried to find out how they're interconnected. But once I did, I found out that there's a better way for me to live. But it took sacrifice, like quitting drinking, making healthy boundaries for myself through my family and the people around me, cutting off some toxic people, or in cases me being cut off because I was the toxic person. Because I kind of want to end it. Oh shit, never mind. Yeah. If you try hard enough, you can actually see where science and reason connects with spirituality and intuition. Both systems are needed to make a larger system, which is our universe. Our universe and the universe we all inhabit. I encourage you guys to do some self-reflection, independent investigation, and to be really gentle with yourself. Because that's the hardest thing, is you could be frustrated with like, why am I not getting this? But be gentle with yourself. There's teachers out there who can help you with that. For the Western system, it's higher education. Maybe that's religion. For First Nations people, it's our elders, and it is very difficult with us because most of our elders are asleep because of the trauma that's happened and the trauma that's carried on. Like, my mother is still dealing with her trauma and is incapable of teaching the rest of us. But I understand that trauma is only because her father and her parents, my grandparents, were still dealing with their trauma from residential school and 60 scoops and all that shit. And only until they were older and they self-reflected did they become more able to teach that message. But by that time, when they were able to, other people were still dealing with that and couldn't hear to what they were listening to. They weren't willing to look inside themselves because it's too scary. I'll tell you that you're not alone. Many people are scared of the outside world, their internal world, but you're not alone, and you can do this. I gotta remind myself of that every day.